These stems are part of the new project, or get me up
Yeah,
to speed
so
on this.
okay, here's what I've been thinking. People know me as a narrative writer.
That was Anthony Ramos and Uzo Aduba in a scene from In Treatment. So, did you customize the dialogue to sound natural to you?
I didn't. It was so wild. I actually I talked to the writer. So this gentleman named Chris Gabo wrote all of my characters' episodes. It was so wild. I've never read a piece. I've never read dialogue where I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like,
You often talk about how my narrative writing like influences all of this. And I was like, okay, you know what? It's time for like a concept album, an album that has a legitimate arc, right? So this is what I have for you. So the album is called Shallow Water Blackout. I've had that name for like a long time. A shallow water blackout is basically when you like come up too fast when you're diving and you like die in the shallows, right? So you die staring at the ocean. Really, you can die staring at the sun. It's like really metal. Like if we were in a metal band, I would be like, that's
pretty. Yeah, that's pretty brutal. I never knew about that.
Sometimes concept albums like have too much story and sometimes they don't have enough story. And I think that between you and I think I can figure out how to like make this have just enough, right? The beginning is like this. So they pull this dude out of the water, American doctors in an Italian hospital, and they're basically like, listen, man, you were dead for like 15 minutes. And he's like, what? And he's like, what do you remember? And he's like, oh, I don't fucking know. Second beat starts, and then I start rapping about basically like all I remember was that I was at a wedding and I couldn't see anybody's faces. There was just like faceless figures, but I knew it was a wedding. I don't know whose wedding. And they were like, that was your wedding. He's like, I'm not married, you know? And they're like, well, no, but you are, right? Like they say, it said when you filled out the thing that you're married, but we don't have an emergency contact for you. And he's like, well, all I remember is being at this thing. And at the very end, there was this very old man who was the only person who could see me. He reached out to touch my face and that was it, right? And then we cut again, right? And the doctors are like,
that's okay, leave that to us. Reassembling the pieces takes time. We'll run another set of tests at the end of the week. Until then, send them to the 8th floor. Si, senora. You've made significant progress. Your weight is up. How long have I been here? Blood pressure stable. Remarkably, there don't seem to be any exit wounds, nothing physical, nothing internal. I'd say that's a win. Why don't we stop there for today? Let you get some rest. Dr. Evans is right. Let me take you upstairs.
And he's like, all right, cool. And they're like, we're going to take you to the 8th floor. And like, what's on the 8th floor? And they're like, oh, it's just a place that, you know, we take people so they can like get back to 100. Okay, cool. And then bam, there's like this piano, this lounge music that's in the stems. I think there's like a fireplace or champagne. He's like, this doesn't feel like a hospital. The doctor's like, that's the point. It's not supposed to feel like a hospital, right? And then there's one other woman in the pool. And he's like, who's that? And they're like, oh, she's nice. She doesn't have a name, just like you. She's a Jane Doe, but she's cool. You know what I mean? She's the only other person here. You guys should like connect. You know, it's like, all right, cool. And then he swims over to her. And then the third beat starts and they're just talking to each other. So we end on some like, yo, where you from? I'm from this, but da-da-da-da-da. It's like some back and forth shit. And then we're like, we know that that person is going to be a character. After that is over, now we're kind of getting into the next song, you know, back in the doctor's office. And they're like, okay, so you said some memories are coming back. And he was like, yeah, I remember I was at a party. There was like just loud sounds and I was just like, I was at a club. Bam. And then that's how we get to sneak in a fucking hit. You know what I mean? Song 2 is like a real jam. Because here's the thing. I want a concept album, but I don't want it to be like that we don't have hits on it because we need to like also have some commercial ideas here. Then at the very end of that record, now it's getting a little like we're going to move cuts. It's not going to be as laborious every time. But then at the very end of that joint, it's like, yo, I remember there was like a figure at the end of the bar, but I feel like I had a connection to her, right? And then we get to do this really sad love song and he realizes that there's someone missing that he doesn't know. Basically, it's 16 songs. I'm not gonna let us go above that. Each 4 songs is kind of an act, so it's sort of a 4-act structure. And in the 4th act, he has a visitor. And I have a friend who he is an incredible rapper and also like is a narrative writer, so I think he can pull it off. Basically, we have a song called You Have a Visitor. And this guy comes and is like, hey, we're friends, right? I found you, and you're like, you're a cool guy, but I don't remember you at all, right? You know what I'm saying? And then he's like, bro, you know you're on involuntary psych hold, right? And he's like, what are you talking about? This is the best. If you used to have a pool, you're like, yeah, no, but you actually, we need to get you the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? Shit. So then he gets out, whatever. We rebuild the memory. We find out that the girl, the whole time he was there, was actually his wife, and neither of them remember each other. So they had to fall in love again, right?
This is cool, man. I like this idea.
I know we don't have a trumpet here.
We do.
Oh, you do? You play trumpet?
Yeah. Not very well, but
Enough to play.
There's been a couple times in our relationship where we've gone, oh, this is the sound, right? And now, in a way, I'm throwing a wrench into stuff. I mean, like, here's all this other texture.
I don't know, man. This is really on brand to me. I don't think so. I wasn't getting that vibe at all.
Amazing. Like, I'm glad you feel that way.
This is the sound. Like, the sound is this. Your sound is the sound. It's like, it's a musician. We threw away the fucking bullshit, like with the last 3 joints. It's sort of like we take what's on our table, you know what I mean, and we make a meal out of it. So that's what we're doing.
Okay, I'm so glad to hear you say that.
Like, that's why I like this. That's what I was saying. If you had these guys fucking play for 30 seconds or whatever, just like fucking jam, and then give me the thing, I'll come up with something and it's gonna work. You know, like it'll work just fine. That's your thing. That's your thing. That's
100%.
Chris Gabo's music, you know.
100%.
That's how I like. That's the music I like. That's why I'm saying it's not going to be the production and the mixing. Like, the actual work for me is not going to be a big deal, because I listen to this type of record where it's like, I don't know, man, OCD music. I don't know. It's just music. I mean, by today's standards, OCD music, because everything's so homogenized.
Yeah.
But like, this is what a record should be like. You know, the reason why it's compelling is because it's forever changing.